By the winter of 1979, Hercules, the grizzly bear, was 4 years old, 35 stone, and stood 7 feet tall. Andy's relentless training regime had begun to pay off. A strong bond was developing between humans and bear. Andy's dream was to create a death-defying wrestling act that would tour the country and play to packed crowds. His next challenge was to make the public aware of his magnificent beast. Andy and Maggie commissioned their own documentary to be shown on local TV stations across the country.
We decided we were going to make a film. You know, everybody wants to make a movie, don't they?
Shot over 4 days in the spring of 1980, it cost them £10,000.
Thousands of years ago, bears were once part of the Highland scene. They roamed freely in the hills and in the forests. But this one is no relic. He's a large, playful grizzly bear who lives in safety. His name, appropriately perhaps, is Hercules.
It was really just about a day in Hercules' life. We wanted to let people see what was going on, what was happening.
Wild bears are expert scavengers and will eat anything that moves. But as the documentary showed, Hercules had more refined tastes.
Breakfast is ready now, Herky. Come and get it, boy.
Hercules loved food. He had human taste buds. He didn't like raw meat or anything like that, wouldn't eat it. In the morning he would have his coffee with his evaporated milk and sugar and his bread and his eggs and his beans. And then at night time he had his main meal, meat cooked with potatoes and soup and carrots.
We used to drink the beer. When he was thirsty, he'd have a slug. And he loved that. He used to big tonguey, a big kiss. This is good, you know what I mean?
He was a very, very happy drunk. He would just kind of go, oh well then, and down he would go, you know. It didn't happen often, but it was very funny when it did.
But he liked it. And hiccups, oh Christ. Like that. He's a character.
The documentary also showed Hercules' love of water and the difficulties in keeping him under control when he went swimming.
When you get him in the water, there's only one thing wrong. You can't get him back out. He would stay in there all day. And you've got to keep him on a rope up there because he would explore right up the loch. He would swim the length of the loch. You never get him back again.
The 60-minute film was made by ex-BBC producer Mike Marshall.
I was reasonably content that we were safe. Andy said, look, I'm not going to put you in any danger or anything like that. We'll film from a distance and I will have control over this bear. I think there was a kind of frisson of anxiety, right at the beginning, thinking, all right, okay.
This was a time when risk assessment and health and safety briefings were non-existent. But the dangers of filming the world's most feared land mammal roaming freely could not be ignored.
There we were, 4 of us set up, tripod, camera, and Andy had Herc on the leash, but somehow or other he managed to slip away from Andy. And all of a sudden he said, Herc! Herc! He wanted that bear to come back to him, but Herc wasn't up for it. And I've never seen a sound recordist or others run so fast. It demonstrated this enormous power that a bear like that can have. The risk factor is there, but there was a tremendous bond between Andy and the bear. It wasn't just a performing animal here. This was a relationship between man and beast.
Just as Andy had hoped, when the documentary was televised, the crowds flocked to see Hercules.
I'm going to give you an exhibition of some of his wrestling skills, which are natural to bears, so we hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
I'm getting the wrestling. What's wrong?
You're a very frothy kissers too, boys and girls.
The sellout wrestling show travelled all over the UK. The unique mix of sporting prowess and genuine risk to human life was a revelation. Andy was living his dream.
That's what we make a living.
And the audiences loved it too.
Hey, back up, bloody Willie!
Andy's faith in Hercules and disregard for his own personal safety had paid off.
Guys, for my bloody hair! Well, ladies and gentlemen, thanks very much for coming today.
This unique family were now inseparable and planned to tour together for the next 10 years. Then, in the summer of 1980, Maggie took a phone call that was to change everything. Major tissue brand Kleenex wanted Hercules to star in a new television advert. Hercules now had the chance to move on from being a wrestling bear. International fame beckoned. The advert was to be filmed in the Outer Hebrides, a remote crop of islands in the northwest of Scotland. Andy, Maggie and Hercules arrived on the islands on the 20th of August 1980. Filming was due to start in 2 days' time, but Hercules had other plans.
When Andy and I woke up that morning, first thing Andy wanted to do was get Hercules out for a swim. I said, let's get our breakfast first. And he said, no, I'm getting my big man out. So he got his wee collar on him and the big long rope that he used when they swam. And they went down there, swam across to that next wee bit, which is just a little way away. And then you could see Herc was really swimming away ahead. I thought, the rope's not that long. And Andy kind of turned round and gave a few expletives as he normally does.
I was shouting on him to come back, and he just kept turning around looking. And I kept swimming. I was going to get drowned. Lucky enough, I got back, and Hercules was out there. He never came back.
Best friend Brian Davidson had travelled up to shoot a home video of the Kleenex advert and witnessed the panic firsthand.
And he was, getting quite devastated at that point in time because he couldn't see him, and it would be running through his mind that maybe Hercules had got drowned because the currents are extreme, they really are.
Where was he? Under the sea? Was he swimming? Where was he?
Maggie said, we'll go and get the boat. Brought the boat back and launched it. Searched the coastline. Didn't find him.
News of the missing grizzly bear and the chaos it caused quickly hit the headlines.